Okay, we will start from the line. This is on page Samach Aleph. A few lines above, just a couple lines above, middle page. The line starts ruck, lishmoah. So towards the end of that line, it says, "Validei habirur lemato." As a result of the birur hilav mitvorim achumriyim, as the birur is applied to dvorim achumriyim, to the most coarse and lowly things in gashmis in the water. Ali deizeh, as a result of that, nasa lemailo gamke. This affects a milo also, above, also tikkun hakelim. And that's what's called tikkun hakelim, perfection of the kelim. What is this kelim? This is kelim, we're talking about kelim, the atzilus. We're talking about in olam hamavura. So what is a tikkun hakelim? Tehine yesh chiluke madreges b'bchinas hakelim l'mayla. We have to understand, he says, that there are different madreges in the kelim aspect l'mayla. We'll discuss the whole principle of kelim after we get the presentation here. Chochmah ha-chochmah, as, for example, to understand the different madregas in kelim, different aspects of kelim. Chochmah ha-chochmah, like for instance, chochmah, shegam ha-keli nikro chayehi. That in chochmah, kli ha-chochmah is also called chayehi. Normally we say, Iyar v'garmei echad, Iyar v'chayehi echad. Chayehi means life, and garmei means
then press pound.
Garmei means the bones, the kelim, the tzios. So normally we say Iyar v'chayehi v'garmei echad. So therefore there are two madregas. Chayehi is the oiros, and the kelim are in a different madrega. They're called garmei. So we say that even garmei also unite with him. But nevertheless, there is a difference. This is chayehi and this is garmei. It's a different madrega. This is normal. But there's an exception to that kli ha-chochmah. In the chochmah, that the keli is also called chayehi. Lefi shehi k'moi ha'oir. Because the kli ha-chochmah is also like the oil itself. So this keli doesn't need any birur, it is k'moi ha'oir. But then the kelim that are below the chochmah, they are not oir, they are in the realm of kelim. And therefore, this is the principle of purifying and perfecting the kelim. That the kelim should be like the oil. So clearly there's a lot to present this Indian. We'll try to be as brief as possible. So first of all, the union of chochmah, that the kli ha-chochmah is just like the oil itself. It's chayehi. So we always mention the principle that brings down in Chassidus, that the Gashmizike representation of chochmah is in koyach hariyah, is in sight. Sight begashmius is the chochmah element at that level. And this here in Gashmis, it's very easy to distinguish, to understand the difference between chochmah and all the other koyachs. For example, the highest koyach next to chochmah is next to the ear is shmiya, hearing. Both of these koyachs speak to the nefesh itself. The Iyar, like for example, we have other chushim, touch, other chushim that we have in the Gashmis. They don't compare to the Iyar, and they don't even compare to shmiya, because what is in it for shmiya that you hear? It's not the sound; it is the message to the nefesh, to the seichel, and to the midas. So shmiya is is a conduit to reach the nefesh. There's no other koich like that. Everything else is a gashmic experience of the hand, of the geshem. Like for example, if you hit your hand, you feel pain. True that the knowledge of pain is in your seichel, is in your, but nevertheless, it's the hand itself that's affected that feels the pain. And the message over there, heal the hand, not don't heal the pain feeling. Like we have today, we have painkillers. The idea of a painkiller is a kappa. That's not the way you heal the hand. You have to heal the hand, the source of the pain, because the hand itself was affected. But the Iyar and Shmiya are in a category by themselves.
Category of what?
A category by themselves. The meaning of Iyar is not the experience of the Iyar, it is what you see. It speaks directly to the nefesh, to the seichel. And so to Shmiya. But then we can readily recognize that there is a very big difference between the Iyar and Shmiya. And the Imam says, Ein a deimer Iyar and Shmiya. Even though Shmiya tells you the whole story, but it tells you the story. It's a translation of the story. It is not the occurrence itself. Re'iyah, this brings you in contact directly to what you are seeing. Although, how do you see? You see through your physical eye. So here we have...
What do you mean directly? What's the Kiddush?
All right, one second. You see with your physical eye. So it should have been the eye sees, and then he somehow he tells you, I'm experiencing such and such, and you then interpret what that experience is about. But this is not how it is. The experience of Iyar is that the nefesh directly connects to that which you see. The eye is like completely transparent. You don't even sense that there is an intermediary through which you see. Although, in fact, this is definitely an intermediary. This is the principle of chochmah. If not for chochmah, if not for the Iyar, there would not be, by us, a sense of the reality of the world. We would know the world only in terms of how it affects us. And I can't help but interject. This is how the idiots translate the whole worldly experience. There is no real experience. It's how you're affected. The only thing you're concerned about is survival. So the reason you feel something is because you're concerned about survival. I mean, mind-boggling the stupidity in this. There's a reality, and the Iyar gives you a sense of reality. This is the halacha says. I mention all the time that Shabbos you have to enjoy your food, and that's why we have candles on the table, light. Because without seeing the food, even though the taste is the same, but that's not real enjoyment. Ayin from food is only if you see it. This is why you have to be able to see it. And there are other examples we speak about all the time. On the blind cannot really experience life and so forth. So this is the Iyar, which is unique among all the kechas, where the means by which you see is totally unobtrusive, does not interfere with your experience of sight. Shmiya is different. It is also a very fine conduit, but it's only a conduit because Shmiya, you hear the sound, and the ear actually, the way you hear it is because the ear is affected by the sound. And it kind of reverberates, and as a result of that, you have the sound. But then, the sound also, the principle of the sound is how it communicates with your nefesh, whether with seichel, or if you hear music, it is how you react to the music. It connects it, but the sound is a means, a stepping stone to the message. In the ear, there is no stepping stone.
But was that? But on Ria, we don't sense that there's an intermediary between the thing. On the shmiya, between the person's voice, we also don't sense that it's affected by the ear. We sense that we hear directly.
No. Even if you hear directly, the hearing is insignificant. That's not what you are. That's not the message that you're getting. It's not the sound. It's not the sound that you are that alerts you. It is the words that alerts you. What is being said? And that is so the Ishmiya, and even in the sound itself, the sound that reaches the ear is not what you hear. You hear the reverberation from the ear, because the ear is physically affected by the sound.
But that we don't sense. We sense that we hear directly. I mean,
We sense, but we're not aware. Whereas in the ear, this is a direct connect.
but there is also there's some physical things going on which we don't sense.
I don't know what's the difficulty over here, but I just want to point out this. The effect of hearing and the effect of seeing. When you hear something, that having heard it verifies, it convinces you that such and such, that you heard such and such. But this conviction is like a conviction. I know for sure that I heard it because I remember hearing it. In sight, there isn't thing I remember seeing it. It is a living thing in front of my eyes. it is as real in my real to my sight as they think itself is. It is not something that it transmits to me. Like a bezin will have to sit in judgment. So they sit in judgment by obtaining testimony of witnesses. The witnesses tell them what they saw, and the bezin listens to their testimony, and on the basis of this testimony, they pass judgment. In the case of if the bezin themselves saw the occurrence, let's say if it is a question of capital punishment, the bezin, they are invalidated. They cannot sit in judgment. Why not? They saw it. Because when they see, there is no way that they can even think in terms of some kind of an excuse, some kind of a schus. Hearing, they heard the whole thing from trustworthy witnesses. Nevertheless, it's not the reality itself. I think that it is it's a phenomenal thing that we have the Gashmis are Moshe for Chochmah. You have to understand, taking this on a higher level, on the nefesh level, Chochmah is what brings us the reality that the world is real. Because Chochmah connects us directly to God. We think about this all the time. Just one makuda about this. Reality means that this presence is not an accidental presence. It happens to be. Chochmah connects to the source of this presence that says not only that it's present, but it is present because that's the truth. It has to be true. That's Chochmah. We see all the time Chochmah connects to the source of what it sees, not to the physical element of what it sees. So therefore, in Chochmah, the Keli is like the Iyar. Which is why, to bring from Chochmah into Bina, there is a requirement of tremendous concentration. You have to dig into the Chochmah to find the Bina element, to find the content. Because otherwise, everything is one. Everything is in the Iyar itself. Now let us try to identify the whole principle of Iyar and Keli. Iyar, we always mention Iyar, is not a separate mitzius from its source. Like we say, a person, a human being also has Iyar, as we say all the time, because a human being is a true mitzvah, a true presence in the world. He belongs there. So when a person owns a home, again, I always say owns a home does not mean necessarily own or be rental. This is his home that he has the right to be, and nobody else has the right to be. Doesn't mean he owns a home. So a person owns a home. His Iyar is present in the entire home automatically. Nobody is allowed to venture into this home without his permission. Even if there is no interference with his functionality. Like I say all the time, you have a big house and you have an attic, and there are corners in the attic that you never saw even. Somebody climbs into the attic and says, I'm going to sit here. Because I'm not in, why should you throw me up? I'm not interfering with your activity. You're saying absolutely they cannot, you're saying impossible. You're sitting there, you were sitting on me. So Iyar is a direct emanation from the essence, from the essence. That's Iyar. Keli is different. Keli is where the Iyar is translated into a metzius outside of the essence. So we will, as usual, take a very simple illustration. What's the illustration? Any guess?
Table.
A table. Now, as we say all the time, the human being has a true presence in the world. And the presence of the human being is of a superior quality. His presence is not that he is just dependent on the vastness of the world. It's a nefesh quality, it's the intellect. And because of this nefesh presence, that's what the human being is nefesh. Because of that, when it has to deal with the world, he does not, if he has to, so to speak, lower himself and be involved in the actual worldly support, that's not appropriate for him. That's an insult to his being. As an intellectual entity, he should be involved exclusively in the intellectual pursuit. That is his thing. If that there needs to be any kind of physical interaction, that physical interaction should be taken care of by the physical element. Like, for example, a person has to learn. In order to learn, he has to have a sefer, a book in front of him. This book is a physical entity. But he has to be concentrated exclusively on the seichel, on the learning itself. Therefore, but how do you hold the book? How is the book going to be in front of you? Something has to hold it up for you. That makes it, that this is how the human being is meant to live. That all the physical extraneous interferences with his personal activity, true human activities, are eliminated, and he can concentrate 100% on his function as a human being. This is, even putting it in very simple terms. Therefore, the principle of a table in front of a person, as he is learning, is a fundamental principle. It is not simply because otherwise it's not comfortable. Surely it's not comfortable to hold the safe. But the fact is, there's much deeper than not comfortable. It actually interferes with the principle of what the human being is.
What happened there? The table is fundamental. The content of the book is fundamental. The table's secondary. What's the table's fundamental? I didn't get this.
It's fundamental that if a human being needs to learn, he should be able to concentrate exclusively on the learning.
Okay.
The learning.
That's a fundamental thing. In other words, this is not just an alleviation of discomfort. This is a statement of what a human being is. We speak about it on a much higher levels also, but it is true even on this simple level. So therefore, from this perspective, a table is totally representative of the human being. Just like his seichel, it's a representative of what the human being is. But in this case, this Iyar of the human being, this Iyar has been translated in a cave. What is the cave? The cave is a table. The cave is a table. Now, here is the principle of the birur hakelim. When you look at the table, look at the cave, you say, oh, this is just a certain form made out of wood. This keli could be here, it could be outside. You can take it, and it will remain a table even if you take it into the store. Birur hakelim means that you perceive this table exclusively as a human element. That's what birur hakelim. When is a table a table? Only when it is in a human environment, in a home, and the human being is, and it serves a human being. Like we say, as long as this table is in a store, it's not the table. Because a table has a human Iyar. The Iyar of this keli comes from the human being. Birur of the table. Birur is the pshat to say that you come to recognize in the Varen, the kelim, to such a degree that they do not have a presence but for the ruchnius element that they represent. What means birur hakelim?
You mean tikkun hakelim?
Birur, latchila birur, and then tikkun.
They do not have a presence but for their purpose.
But for the ruchnius element that they represent. Bear in mind the following. You know that kelim, objects that tzaddikim have used, we're extremely careful with that. So they retain kedusha. This is a standard. This is a cedar. You may think, but this is just a chair and a table and. Say no. Wait a second. This table and the chair. This is the oil hat of the tzaddik is right there. How is the tzaddik? It's a piece of wood. Because this piece of wood has been so thoroughly misbattled, and to the function on the oil of the tzaddik, that all it is this on this. And if this,
That's his only definition.
and if this table or this chair is taken out elsewhere, like the Rebbe said, the Rebbe once expressed himself by the Friedrich Rebbe, his foreign world, you're tearing pieces from the Rebbe. The Rash ticket from Rebbe, that was expressed. I mentioned to you there's a story when the Rebbe, the Rashab, as a child, became ill. And what was his illness? Rebbe was mamish a ruchnisike person. His illness was that he could not see Gashmis. So the Rebbe, the father, Malash, would come and visit him. And Malash lived very extravagantly. That was his thing. And he carried him a staff, a silver staff. So the Rebbe came to him with this staff. And the Rebbe Stecken I was able to see. The Taten Stecken I was able to see. So the Rebbe left the staff by his bed. And that Stecken I was able to see. Because that Stecken was permeated with the ruchnis of what the Stecken stood for. It wasn't a Stecken anymore. We couldn't see Gashmis, but this is not Gashmis. This is the principle of Birur HaKelim. You have to understand. Kelim, like even in the case of the table, so it's a table. No, the table is a table. It's a human spirit that the table represents, not a piece of wood.
Small question. The Rav made a stated that the table, for example, is bottled to the Iyar of the tzaddik. Right? Why not phrase it that the tzaddik brought out the Iyar which is inherent within the table? Why are we talking about? Why just focus on the table is bottled to the Iyar of the tzaddik as opposed to the tzaddik bringing out the inherent Iyar within the table itself?
The table doesn't have oil, but on that which the tzaddik puts into it. What is the table? What is the table about? What conceptualizes the table? What creates the table? The oil of the human being, like we explained till now. It's a human Indian that there should be a table, and that's what the table stands for.
But isn't there?
Let me just go. I want to finish. What, in fact, is ultimately the difference between the Iyar and the Keli? The Keli is also present. It's a different level of presence. The Iyar is a different presence. This is a presence. What is ultimately the difference? Why is this called Birur? Birur HaKeli. Okay, so you translate the Keli in different light, so to speak. So this is already a much more subtle. I've tried many times in the past to make the point. Hopefully, some of it registered. The Gashmius, if you make a table, the carpenter who makes the table may not even know who the table is for, or even take a lower level. The table consists of various pieces of wood, which have to be connected to one to the other. A carpenter may have an apprentice who is learning how to put things together. So the carpenter prepared all the pieces of wood and says, connect this piece of wood to this one in this way. And the apprentice connects these two pieces of wood. He's not building a table altogether. He's just connecting two pieces of wood. That's what a keli is. It's unrelated in its presence in the world. It's unrelated to what it stands for. Mm-hmm. Which means it does not have a true presence. When you put these two pieces of wood, nothing happened. There were two pieces of wood before and two pieces of wood now, and they're connected to what?
They have a physical presence, but not a true presence.
That's right. Not a physical presence is doesn't have no significance. A presence has no significance. It's not a presence. This is the principle. This is the principle that you understand. The principle that says, "Breishis bora elikim ze shamayim v'sa'aretz." God created shamayim v'sa'aretz. What does that mean? It's not there by accident. Everything in shamayim v'sa'aretz represents a godly truth, a godly presence. This is what we mean by the word real. There has a reality. It has to be there. It is not by default. Just as things in your home. You have chairs, and chairs belong there. They're not just because there's a piece of wood, you don't have a place to put them, so they're standing by in your dining room. This is the pshat. This is the difference between the Iyar and the keli. The Iyar represents the source, which means it represents a true presence. The keli, on its own, represents itself. Itself is not a real presence.
Birur keli means the keli disappears.
Right. Birur keli means that it completely is bottled to what it is serving, to the Iyar. So that when you come, let's say, a normal human experience, you come to somebody's home and you see a table. Do you see wood or a table? What do you see? You see a table. And that's correct. That's all you see. Again, the idiot will say, no, you first see the wood and then you translate it into the table. That's not true. We see the table only. Because that is what sight is. That's the purpose of chochmah. And you see the reality right directly. So, birur hakelim means to reveal in the kelim, not only to reveal, to unite the keli, that the keli should stand for the Iyar element, not for the keli element. And Iyar is always connected and representative of the source, of the Etzem.
That being done, the table still remains there as a physical object.
This table remains a physical object, but this is as we're going to see. This is why the birur hakelim brings about the gilui ha'atzmus. Because only etzem can be related to a physical object, and the object is completely bottled for the etzem.
Like when a person does various significant activities on the table, like eating and then making birkat hamazon, so I'm thinking of a shell that gave him strength with that food to work. This is the process of berur of the physical, or anything else. There's many myriads of activities that a person does that refers to them in a spiritual way, in order to, is this what you're talking about, the process of berur?
Well, again, it depends very much of what type of person it is, what his kavanah is.
Yeah. Obviously, pure kavanah for a person. So that is.
Okay, so this is the pshat birur hakelim.
I didn't get the atzmus part of it.
Because because, like we said, since the kelim are at a mitzias level, not oil, how can in mitzias be sensed the oil? That it's not a mitzias, only mitzvah atzmos.
How does
let me,
Metzias,
okay, I understand. I will have to limit it a little bit. Just okay, I'm going to give you a little bit of a hand on this. Going back to the human being has, we said, he has oil, he has seichel and midas, and then there is the presence of the human being himself. Now, without the seichel and the midas, if he comes, what he has to do, let's say, he has to sit and learn. If he has to eat, he has to eat in order to support and be able to do his thing as a human being. From the perspective of the seichel and the midas, when he needs a sefer, and when he needs to use a sefer, that's when the table has to materialize. Because it's not a mitzias, it's not a mitzias only because I need it. So when I need it, that's when the table has to be materialized. The fact is that we have a different setup. I have a home, and in the home there are tables and chairs. Are they tables and chairs or they're not? I'm not using it now, not even home. This is what we said, that if you have a home, you are present in every corner of the home, even if you never saw it. How are you present? Lishmoah do etzem. That mitzad etzem, everything that you will ever need is waiting for you. It has a real presence because of you. Even though you are not around it, you're not using it. Those are the pshat on mitzad atzmus. The Gashmi is Ha'ilum, is representative of Atzmus, not of oil. Because Gashmi is Ha'ilum represents something that exists, exists without any purpose. It just exists. It doesn't exist when you need it. It exists all the time. Why? Because there's an Atzmus element. It represents the Creator in his real presence, in his real reality, not only in his active state.
So how does that fit into Birur?
This is the Birur. As long as you are blinded by the Gashmiyus, by the Keli, then it has nothing to do with the Creator. You are using the keli for your use, for your convenience, for your comfort. But when the keli loses completely its own presence and is completely becomes subservient, representative exclusively of the oil, and yet it's a gashmizik keli. This is when you megala the asmis. That even in the Gashmius, the whole mitzvah of the keli is its purpose and its significance.
Is it fair to say that if
I got myself into real quagmire over here.
We got out.
You have to try and understand. Otherwise, we'll just going to be treading water. Try to understand what I'm saying. The point. There are no questions in this. It requires the oir haseichel, not the mitzias, the kli haseichel. With the kelim, you won't understand this. that chochmah, there is no other mitzias but the Rebbester, but Alakus. Hu lavadi hu ve'in zolosik zu him adregas ha-chochmah. This is chochmah. This is chochmah. This is the koyach ha-chochmah that each one of us has been granted. It's tucked away someplace over there, but it's there. And we are able to at least to refer to it, to understand what is reality.
This or that you're referring to, that the keli has to be the fi erecha, to be bottled to the or.
Now what?
You said that the keli, in order to represent atmos, the atmos element, has to be bottled to the or. This is, I'm trying to understand. I'm a little confused about. Here we're saying atmos. And here we're saying or. The or is the same kind of light that we're talking about. The or mina choshek. The or.
Forget about it. Your home has tables and chairs, but you're not using them. So, what are they doing there? What's the answer?
They're representing me.
Not your functionality, not your seichel amidus, you, because you're reality. The seichel amidus is a derivative of that me. And by imbuing into the tables and chairs your seichel, this is how you're revealing in them, oh, this is meant to serve me.
That's the piece. This is where I'm going with it.
Okay, thank you.
Is it fair to say that what you just mentioned, if hypothetically speaking, you would have ability to materialize objects, to use them when you need them, it would be not as great as what you just said, like having home set up and you don't even use it necessarily because you're not even there.
Yeah, that you will have the objects when you need them is the same as going to a restaurant when you need to eat, and going to a hotel when you need to sleep. There's no etzem there.
When we said Metzias, Metzias means that it represents just itself, not the source. Is this?
Yeah, that's Metzias in the world.
No, I'm thinking
That's-
Metzias.
Yeah, Metzias in the Pshat, it has a presence. A presence means not representing its source.
We have to work that this Metzias should represent.
The birur is to show what its true presence is.
And this is to a bittul, that the Metzias is mevatel to the Ori. Because we said before that how does the Metzias represent actually?
Yes, the Metzias is battle to the oil and says this whole thing is only the etzem, the human element is what this stands for, not its Metzias. This is how it comes both. It comes in its bottom.
You said human element, you mean the soul, the person?
Yeah. So this is what happens as a result of our avodah with the keiches of the nefesh habamis and biur nefesh habamis. Then ultimately that reaches up l'maylo, that it's and it affects the biur v'zichur hakelim l'maylo. What's on zichur hakelim? Zichur hakelim means that just like kli hachochmah, even though it's a keli, is on par with the oil, which means chochmah. There is no separation between the keli and the oil. The keli chochmah does, as we explained in the Moshe, that chochmah represents the oil of the etzem itself. We always explain. You have to give me a chance. If if you have to ask questions on this, so then I'm not saying.
Okay, deal.
Okay? I'm not saying it because I'm trying to give as much as, but the Seichel chochmah is entirely dependent to the rotz. The reason chochmah is there because you want to, because there's a rotz. Rotz and hanefesh. This is a much higher element. Chochmah, there is no. Chochmah is completely dependent, representative of the rotz and hanefesh. I see because I want to see. So this is where Chochmah, we say, the oil and the keli are both. Is chad. Chad is one with the yatz. Because what makes it possible to see, what makes it to see things from a Chochmah perspective, mitzad the etzem. It's not mitzad itself. So the rotz and hanefesh. In the lower spheres, starting from Bina on down, the Keli and the Oyer are not on par, are not equal. And as a result of the Birur, of the Nefesh HaBamis here below, we affect the Birur and Zichuch of the Keli L'mayla. So the Keli L'mayla, the Keli will be like the Oyer, like the Kliyachach.
Purification.
Zichuch. Purification. To put it in very simple terms, we see a world, see a Metzius in the world, a Gashanik Metzius. The Metzius is there because God said, God created. It's all true. But all that is the Helen, is the Tzimtzum. The real Metzius of the world is God wants it right now to be, that's why it's there. That's what it represents. That's what the world is. And this is Pshat Birur of Nefesh HaBamis. Nefesh HaBamis is bottle. Saying, no, the whole thing is really the Rotzon HaOdam, is the Chayes HaNefesh. And through as a result of Birur, of the Birur of Nefesh HaBamis, there is Birur HaKelim in the mind. Right? Right. These kind of things I mention all the time. To have a glance at them for one moment is worth the effort. And it's not meant that we should then grab it with our hands and put it in our pockets. Because this is just like sight. You can see, it's clear, but you can't put it in your pocket. You can only see while you're looking at it. The minute you close your eyes, the minute you turn away, you don't see it. But having seen for a moment, this Indian changes a little bit, has a long-lasting effect on the person. How can I say that anyone who touched the door handle of my door will not have hanoah from Oil Haz.
And no?
No pleasure from
Why? Because he had seen a completely different reality. And when he comes to this, he says, what is this?
No handle.
Right?
No, no, no.
There's another expression, I believe, also from Alter
Touched
Rebbe,
his door handle.
that he will not die without tshuva.
He can't enjoy his worlds.
Die without tshuva.
What does it represent?
Because he had seen the reality. And that remains reality, no matter what confusion the world represents.
I missed the whole thing.
Okay. Okay, just want to finish the scene. Ali Deizeh, and then as a result, when there is the Birur HaKelim, the Kelim become like the Oiris. Then, as a result, Meir Bahem Oir Elyoin, a superior oil shines in this Kelim. Shelamayel Mechinas Kelim, an oil that is completely above the whole phenomenon of Kelim. What oil is possible to put in Kelim? An oil, a functional oil, like we say a human being in our muscle, right? A human being is supposed to, his union is seichel. And for seichel, you have to learn, you have to support himself. Why is his union seichel? His union seichel is because that's what his nefesh is. His nefesh relates to truth, and seichel is the only place where the truth is recognized. So in the kelim, you only have the seichel. But the etzem inyan of ha-nefesh is l'mayim ha-kelim. So by bit of the kelim, it's meir in the kelim an oil that is high, oil that's higher than kelim altogether. You can't put it in the kelim. Define what a human being is. Why a human being has seichel? There's no kelim for that. I'm not going there. I had my lesson. U'k'meishin is boil yildi b'ramatzis Shabbos Shabbosin, as we explained earlier. V'hoyikor, and in that vein, that is nimshach in the kelim and oil that's a mile mi kelim. The principle is shalidei zeh nimshach bechinas ho'atzmus de insoy by kelim. As a result of that, the atzmus of insoy is nimshach in the kelim. The atzmus is clearly above kelim.
Kelim Shalamayla?
Yeah, talking about the life. And this is where I'm going to give you a chance to think it off. Have a good day.
I really try to see in perspective of the ruck. I understand that
Ay, ay, ay.